Hello and welcome. Today I wanted to do a review that a lot of you have been waiting for a while. This is the much anticipated and much coveted Vaders Vault Vanquish. Now Vanquish is the second crossguard saber that has been offered by Vaders Vault. The first was a pretty by-the-book Kylo Ren model. This is their interpretation of a crossguard. The Kylo Ren model was only offered with a NeoPixel. This one is offered with Tri-Cree or NeoPixel, which is why for me that was much more appealing since I don't do NeoPixel. If you don't know why, I just recently shot a video about that. You can look it up and I'll explain myself. But this one is offered in Tri-Cree or NeoPixel. You can see the flashing activation button here. I've talked about that in another video. This video is going to be about the hilt design itself and what it has to offer, what's good about it, what's bad about it. I reviewed the electronics on this thing in a different video. I tried to keep those separate because they will probably still offer the Vanquish when a new soundboard comes out. So I did a video about the Crystal Shard 4.5 soundboard that talks about the features of this and what it has to offer. But this time around I'm going to be dealing mostly with just the hilt. So that out of the way, let me talk about other crossguards in the market right now. You can get Kylo Ren sabers that are pretty much designed to look just like Kylo Ren's saber from a lot of different manufacturers. I don't have one of those on hand right now. They appeal less to me. If I get one, I'll review it. What I've got in front of me right now are some of the major crossguard models in the market. Now, one of the first, probably the first group of people out there besides Black Series and some of the Kylo Ren ones to make their own crossguard was Ultra Sabers. Now this is an Ultra Sabers flamberge right here. It's got a little bit of etch work. You can see the size on that. Next, out of the gate, and really close behind, was the Saber Forge. Now this is a Saber Forge relic. Now you can see a little bit of a difference in size here. Ultra Sabers went back after the Saber Forge relic was made and made one of theirs that looked like this one as well. It is pretty much the same size though. It's still pretty big. The Ultra Saber is thick. You can see the diameter of this thing, you can see the height of this thing. The Saber Forge, look at the position of the crossguard itself and you'll see that they moved the electronics down a little bit. It's got a smaller profile, it's a little bit slimmer, especially up here in the choke point, less so in the grenade grip. But it's slimmer, as Saber Forge models usually are, and shorter. Right now, if you look at the Vanquish size profile in comparison to both of those, you'll see that the crossguard section of the Vanquish sits about in the same place that the Saber Forge section does. But the diameter or outer diameter of the Vanquish is much slimmer. And the Vanquish is also substantially lighter than either of these other two. One of the things, if you use a crossguard, if you use an Ultra Sabers flamberge or any of the Saber Forge models, Templar or Relic, it's going to really start to make your forearms burn if your arms aren't in good shape. The Vanquish, a lot less so. This thing is the lightest crossguard saber that I have ever come across, and it's got the smallest size profile. This outer diameter right here is just, even if your hands aren't that big, this is very usable. It reminds me a lot actually of the Vaders Vault Legionnaire in design, just this sort of tapered end, grip section here and then sort of flaring out. It's a lot like the Vaders Vault Legionnaire. So if you used a Legionnaire before, this thing's a lot like that. In terms of the crossguard side spikes, this one has smaller side spikes than usual. Most of these other models use 1-inch diameter blade stock for their side spikes, which is the same blade stock for a main blade. The Vaders Vault uses 3/4 inch side spikes and a 1-inch main blade. So these side spikes, if you get a Vaders Vault Vanquish and you're trying to use some Ripper Blade side spikes that you purchased aftermarket, or some of the side spikes from your other, or Quillians, or whatever you want to call them, from your other sabers, they're not going to work. This needs a 3/4 inch. You can get those specially made from people like Ripper Blades. You can order them from a few different other places like Custom Saber Shop, but you need to be aware that the side spikes or Quillians are a smaller outer diameter than the main blade, and that's one of the features of this. The side spikes that they ship with it come to an interesting sort of tapered point. They narrow down and come to a point here. These things I think are specific to this hilt. They're a lot like sort of the icicles that you get during Christmas time. You notice that mine are red. That is not an option that they offer as far as I could see. When I got this in from them, the main blade was their sort of sanded double diffused blade, and these were trans white, which means that the main blade color did not match the side spike color right out of the box. I'll put a picture of that right here. Alright, so I kind of hate trans white, so I took mine and I dyed them red. They're still not the same red as my unstable Ripper blade in the middle, but it's getting closer, and I'll mess with them a little bit more. But so trans white 3/4 inch side spikes. Some other features that this thing offers. I believe that they said these rods were titanium, but we've got 2 rods right here, and we've got a series of 6 of them on the pommel, or towards the pommel. Let me go ahead and just give you a close-up of the whole saber. Alright, so all things told, a very beautiful crossguard saber. I got mine in the standard finish. They have an elite finish that has multi-tones. You can get the rods sort of anodized in different colors. They've got a blackout finish that's black. I liked this one. This right here also, this is an optional feature that they have. It's a rubberized grip right here. I highly suggest the rubberized grip. Usually I do leather grips on things. This one you don't need it. The rubberized grip actually makes the grip on this very nice. You notice also another improvement on some of the Vaders Vault sabers I've had in past. The internals come out very easily, which makes battery switching a whole lot more user-friendly than it is on my Tempest or it was on my Legionnaire, where I had to really sort of work to get those batteries out. The chassis on this is really nicely fitted, so it just slides right out, and you can change the audio files, you can access the battery if you need to. Really well designed. We have the aux button in the back here, sort of indented or inset into the hilt. We have the main activation button here. So one other thing about this, you'll notice that right underneath the side spikes, there's sort of vents. Now, only half of these vents are aluminum. The little inset bits are little chunks of acrylic. So let me see if I can get you a close-up on that. Okay, look right there. All right, now let me go ahead and ignite the saber and you'll see what those do.
Vanquish.
All right, so those little chunks of acrylic in there vent out the light, so it actually creates a really interesting effect. Ideally in a crossguard saber like this, the side spikes are supposed to be vents anyways, and this is a vent to the vent, which is kind of nice. So the size on this, the shape on this, the weight on it, this is really user-friendly for spinning, and it's a whole lot easier with these thinner crossguards, and the way that they're set. In a flamberge, the choke point encourages you to use it right here. Puts you kind of in range for getting hit with those side spikes. Same thing for the saber forge. Here, the choke encourages you to be a little bit farther down here, which means you're less likely to hit yourself with those side spikes than you are with the other models. So it's a little bit more usable in that respect. Really nice design, really fond of this. You noticed also the proprietary sound font. Let me go ahead and fire that up again. Each time you get a saber from Vaders Vault, that saber comes with 2 of their stock sound fonts and then a sound font that's exclusive to that saber and can't be picked up anywhere else. This one, the Vanquish sound font. There's that pitch shift from the Crystal Shard 4.5. Swings. flashes, blaster deflects, force effect, blade lockup, power down, and you saw the sort of fade out and the staggered ignition. I talked about those when I talked about the Crystal Shard 4.5, so if you want to find again the features, then view that video. But specifically, this sound font is kind of an interesting, sort of unstable sounding sound font, and I like it quite a bit. So now that I've talked this up, let me talk about some features of this that I don't quite like as much. Vaders Vault is usually pretty good about edges. Even with this one, you can see, I'll give you a close-up of some of these little rods down towards the bottom. And if you look at the aluminum that leads to the rod, you'll see that it's really nicely beveled. Now, the bevel on that is so that you don't catch your hands on that hard edge and cut yourself, and Vaders Vault is usually really good about that. On the Vanquish, though, there's a lot of hard edges left over that are unbeveled. This part right here by those acrylic vents is sharp. A lot of the parts around the crossguard section itself, up here towards the top, sort of a joint between the emitter and the blade right here. There's a little screw that sticks out here, which isn't a big deal, but it's kind of odd. But some of these edges right in here are still very sharp, especially this groove. I mean, this wouldn't be such a big deal because you're not going to touch up near here too very much during use unless you start trying to wield it like this. But this little edge right here leading up from the aux button, this sort of groove, this thing is very sharp on both sides, and there's one by the activation switch as well. So these are places that your fingers definitely go. And the hard corner right here is definitely a problem to me. It's something that I really wish this were either beveled or if this groove was not there at all, it would be preferable. So other than the hard edges, it's light, so it flows really well. It's not as clunky as a lot of other crossguards. I really like this saber quite a bit. It does have a hefty price point. But this one I think is more worth it than something like the Revan saber that they just came out with, where I find it a little bit harder to justify the price point. So this is the high end of their combat class. One other thing that I wanted to talk about while I'm talking about this saber, one of the other down points, and it's a down point really to anything with Vaders Vault. I ordered this saber when it was in stock. Now, in stock to Vaders Vault meant that it took 6 months to get. It is currently out of stock, which means if you ordered one right now, I have no idea how long it would take. Vaders Vault takes a super long time, and it's kind of hard to justify that in my mind. Especially, I mean, if they were a craftsman's saber, like a special order or something like that, I could see it. And Vaders Vault tells you that they are. But the fact that they've got a website, the fact that they have in-stock and out-of-stock items, the fact that they have drop-down menus, they behave like a mass-market saber company, like Saberforge or Ultra Sabers. But they produce like a craftsman's saber, which means if you're going to order from Vaders Vault, you are going to get great quality stuff. But don't delude yourself that you're ordering from a mass-market saber producer. Think of it like, I found this weird person on Facebook who makes really interesting stuff, and I ordered a special commission from them. That's the time frame that you're dealing with Vaders Vault. You're dealing with special commission time frame for what they call in-stock production models. But that's how I see it. Very nice saber, very great saber. I think this is probably the best designed crossguard model on the market right now. Has some problems with some of the edges, but overall very usable, especially if you're wearing gloves. There you have it, the Vaders Vault Vanquish. Hopefully this has been of use to you. If it has, please join me back for more reviews, and I'll see you next time.